Melanie had liked her the moment they'd first met, when she was still in high school. She'd been very aware of how different she was compared to the housekeeper in her own childhood home. "Thank you, Mrs. Harris. It's so good to see you," Melanie said, smiling as she wiped her boots on the textured seagrass mat. Mrs. Harris motioned for her jacket, and she took it off, placing it in her waiting arms. The older woman bustled over to the closet, her vibrant red dress swaying with emotion. "It's so lovely to see you again, my dear," the elderly woman said, clasping her hands together. "Nice to see you, too. I'm sorry I'm late, but my appointments ran longer than expected. Those brides are keeping you busy, aren't they?" Melanie scrunched up her nose. "Unfortunately, they are, and not in a good way." She hated admitting her business was losing some of its luster, that the brides she was working with were increasingly demanding and unpleasant. "It's nothing I can't handle. Don't worry about me. How about Corey? Any news?" A deep frown set into the woman's plump face, lines embedding themselves around her mouth. "Not too much, I'm afraid. Adam is already flown out there to be by her side, and poor Cole is pacing around here like a caged lion, worried sick about his little sister. Nothing we can do but wait and see. Cole should be in soon for dinner. Maybe he'll have some news for us." She followed Mrs. Harris into the great room, ignoring the tickle of anticipation that scurried through her at the thought of seeing Cole again. It was ridiculous, really. Cole had never even given her more than a few sentences here and there, and that had been on one of his more talkative days. A white ceramic coffee pot and matching cups rested on the large side table, and Mrs. Harris motioned Melanie to the taupe-colored chenille sofa. Melanie sank into the plush cushions, placing her portfolio beside her on the couch. She'd been in this room many times over the years, and it still evoked the same warmth. The only time it had seemed sad and vacant had been the year following the death of Cole's wife. "Now, let's sit and catch up before Cole gets in. I told him you'd be coming by, and that man is never late for dinner when my roast is on the menu," Mrs. Harris said proudly. She poured Melanie a cup of coffee, the dark brew steaming in the large mug. "You make the best coffee, Mrs. Harris," Melanie said with a sigh, adding some cream to her cup and then settling back into the dense cushions. "Well, thank you, my dear. Freshly ground beans is my trick. Cole loves a strong brew. Maybe because he's such a strong man?" Her voice trailed, rather theatrically, as she stared at Melanie over the rim of her cup. Melanie gave her a small smile, trying not to show any reaction to the last comment. It was getting increasingly difficult to relegate her thoughts of Cole to the recesses of her mind when Mrs. Harris insisted on mentioning him every 2 minutes. How strong he was. And really, she knew the woman must have meant strong emotionally after the heartache. She should not be picturing his body. Cole had always seemed slightly larger than life to her, slightly beyond her grasp, beyond her comfort level. When she was in his presence, there were times she felt like a child playing with matches, trying to get a spark, and instinctively knowing she'd have no idea what she'd do if that fire ever ignited. She stared inside her cup, hoping Mrs. Harris would attribute her flushed face to the warmth of the liquid. Footsteps and men's low voices filled the quiet space, and Melanie's heartbeat quickened as Cole's deep voice became discernible. Mrs. Harris was already standing, and seconds later, Cole Forrester filled up the doorway, and her mind. He was a solid 6 feet 2 inches of hard, beautiful man. There wasn't a soft spot on his well-defined, hard-working body. His low-slung, well...